Joining us now, NewsNation political contributor Denise Gitsham. Good morning to you. This can feel pretty overwhelming and messy to most across the country as they watch this play out. But redistricting and gerrymandering is nothing new. But how, Denise, is it different right now?
I think it's different because people are paying attention. You know, when Abbott decided to take this on in Texas at Trump's urging, it became an overtly political exercise. But that doesn't mean, as you pointed out, Marnie, that doesn't mean it hasn't been happening for decades. You know, for decades in New England, it's been a 21-0 Democrat to Republican representation in 6 New England states, where 35 to 45% of voters in those states vote Republican. They've had no voice. And, you know, it's interesting because the way that it's been partisanized, the conversation, has really left out any conversation that's needed and what Americans would like, I think, at least I would, which is a conversation about principles. What do we stand for on principle? Do we stand for fair elections? Do we stand for fair representation? Or are we just going to continue to do a naked partisan grab every time we have a chance? You know, I think we have to decide which side of that argument we're going to stand on. And right now, it sounds like it's the naked partisan grab, at least for the near term.
Yeah, when it comes to fairness, and you know, I would hope most people would want that. But do they have a say? I mean, this is heading to the courts in a lot of places, but not to the ballot box.
Right. And the judges have to weigh in because the partisan politics are going to force them back. You know, every single time something happens, it ends up in court because somebody is suing someone else and saying that's not fair. Both sides are doing it. Nobody has clean hands in terms of the politics of it all. And really, what do you expect? What do we expect in the way that politics has gone in this nation? It's the reason that all these institutions that we've always held in such high regard have tanked to new lows and approvals. But the courts are also following suit. You know, you can pretty much determine the way that a court's going to decide based on its partisan representation. And so, in a way, there's really no reprieve.
Does it equal out in the end, Denise, if both sides are fighting for it, or does it backfire? Who has the bigger advantage right now?
Well, Republicans, I actually think that Republicans had a grand scheme when they entered into this. I think that when Abbott engaged and took that first step in Texas, he knew what Democrats seemed to forget, or they just played right into his trap. And it was that 28 states had Republican majority legislatures versus 18 states having democratically led legislatures. That meant that Republicans always had a numerical advantage if it was just purely about raw politics, which it now has become. I think that Governor Newsom did the Democratic Party a huge disservice by using this effort in California, where I live, to really as a platform for leveraging support for his own political ambitions for presidency. And instead, he stepped into this trap that set Democrats up for a long-term fail because the numbers were never on their side.
Yeah, it was that fight fire with fire argument. How big of an impact? I mean, we've still got quite a bit of time before the midterms. Do you think this may actually have on the elections?
I don't think there's any. Nobody's really standing on principle at this point. I think pretty much both sides have admitted that this is going to be an issue that they're just going to stand on raw politics for. And I think the only way that this is going to impact midterms is that the people who are just purely partisan and just want to win at all costs, which honestly I think is where most Americans are, even if they say that they're not. I think most Americans just want to see their side win. You know, look past all the highfalutin comments about, oh, I wish that we were in a different place politically. No, you don't, because you keep voting for people who are super partisan. So I don't really think this is going to have any impact on the midterms other than the person that takes the strongest actions on behalf of your side is going to be the one that you're going to vote for. And that's what we're seeing with Governor Newsom's surge in the polls, right? Nationally. He used this as a fight that he took to Republicans, even though it was going to hurt his party in the end, and people are rewarding for him. For it.
It's what's in it for me, right? That feels like what politics is. All right, Denise.
100%. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. All right, appreciate the time. Enjoy the weekend.